Blackschmoll. What's the other name?
3, 2, 1, bro.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph, and this is 3D Gaming. 3D Gaming is a series where we find something cool to 3D print with our Ender 3 3D printer, and we print it out for a board game. And this week, we're talking about something for the game Caverna, the Cave Farmers. Now, you might be thinking, ooh, what could Caverna need? Caverna could read a really, really good insert. And you're right. I didn't print that, though, because I just didn't care to be completely honest. We might print out an insert for Caverna at some point, but I'm actually printing out an insert for another game that's actually going to be part of a sketch, and you'll see later. But nonetheless, we're going to be printing out something for Caverna. Caverna is a very, very cool, very big game. Got tons of stuff, tons of bits, tons of wooden little meeples, animeeples. There's like wooden cows and wooden donkeys and dogs and sheep and pigs and all this cool stuff. And then you get to your dwarves. You are dwarf farmers, and this is your dwarf. Just a disc, just a colored disc in your player color. It's like, oh, what is this? This is ridiculous. This is an abomination considering how amazing everything else looks in the game. But here's the thing, before you start titter-tattering in the comments, I can hear you clicking away down there. Because these actually make a lot of sense. They honestly do. And the reason is because you can go on expeditions as dwarves in this game. And you go on an expedition, you need a weapon. Weapons are these little numbered chits right here. And every dwarf has a weapon. And now it just sits on there like that. And you can actually see the weapon very easily. It actually makes a lot of sense why they're discs. It's not just a corner cut. It honestly makes sense why they did this. But nonetheless, there's gotta be a cooler option than this. And there is. I came across on Thingiverse these right here by Canadiankorean. Thank you so much for making these because they are so cool. So these are dwarves that have little holders in the back, and those little holders in the back hold this little weapon right here. But now you have dwarves. You actually have little minis, cool little dwarves, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Now, I do want to mention that while Canadiankorean made these, they didn't actually make the original. The original is made by someone named Blackschmoll on Thingiverse. It is a remixed version of these dwarf minis that Blackschmoll made, and that's one of the coolest things about 3D printing and things on Thingiverse is it's very, very encouraged to remix things. Like, oh, this is cool, but I can make it cooler by doing this, or I can use it for this other thing. And so Canadiankorean took these little dwarf minis by Blackschmoll and then remixed them and then made them into something for Caverna, which is not what they were originally for. But enough talking about it. Let's go ahead and see these dwarves. Let's slow the whole thing down, put some sexy music behind it, and check out these 3D printed dwarves for Caverna, the Cave Farmers. These are 3D printed dwarves for the game Caverna, the Cave Farmers. These are printed in 7 different player colors, and there are 5 dwarf sculpts. On the back of each mini is a U-shaped holder. And what does this hold? Well, the dwarves' weapons, of course. Now each dwarf can prominently display how strong they are in which weapon they hold. So what do we think about these? I personally think these are so freaking cool. I freaking love this kind of stuff. This is why I like having a 3D printer. This is why I like 3D printing stuff for board games. Because these little dwarves are so clever. One, they're just cool little dwarves. Blackschmoll did a great job of sculpting these little dwarves. And then Canadiankorean remix them to work for Caverna, and it's just so nice. These things fit so perfectly in here, and they just hold them. And it's honest to God so convenient, and it's so nice that there's 5 unique dwarves. So all of your dwarves are a little bit different. This one's got like a pointy crown, this one's got like a flower, this one's wearing a hat. It's so cool that they're all a little bit different, and then they hold those weapons, which is so nice. And this is the thing I love about 3D printing. I talked about this in our last episode, which is the Quest of Quedlinburg, which will be in a card up here, making bit boxes for that, because I just would never have thought of these. I would have never thought to make dwarf minis or take dwarf minis and then put a little thing on the back. It's just so simple and so clever. And I love that. Just all these different things where I'm just like, that is so cool. Like when we made the paddocks for the 3D paddocks for Dinosaur Island, there'll be a card for that as well. That is something that's so freaking cool and so clever and takes your game to such a new level. But let's go ahead and get into whether or not we think these are worth it to print for your game if you have a 3D printer or maybe an access to a 3D printer. Now, how we judge that is by the 3 P's of 3D printing: printing, practicality, and dopeness. Basically, how easy are they to print? Are they practical to use in the game? And are they cool? Do they have a lot of cool factor? Printing, super easy to print. They didn't require any supports, maybe a teeny bit of cleanup here or there, but very, very, very easy to print. A group of 5 into each color took about 3 hours to print, so not too bad at all. The whole thing was between 20 and 25 hours to print. Really, really not bad. Super, super easy to print. Checkbox there, great stuff. Practicality, are they actually easy to use in the game? And these, honestly, yes. Again, the reason why these dwarves are just discs is to make it easier to see which dwarves have which weapons and how strong those weapons are. So the thing is, if it didn't have this little catch on the back, you literally couldn't put this anywhere, and they honestly would be kind of worthless for this game because they wouldn't be practical to use. But with this little catch here, little thing right here, and go boom, got it! Like that. So easy, so practical, very easy to see. It's always pointing at you if you have the dwarf. It's just, it works really, really well. They work just as easily. It takes up a little bit more space in the box, but all of these things fit in the box, no problem. So that's not an issue. Practicality wise, honestly, they're great. They're super easy to use and they make your game so cool. On to the 3rd P, which is dopeness. They're so cool. They're just so awesome. They just make your game that much better. It's one of those things where I'm like, oh, I just wish these were in the normal game because they're so freaking cool. I'm just so hyped on little things like this. I love it. I want to take out my copy of Caverna and bring it out to someone who doesn't know those are in here and being like, oh my gosh, these are so cool. Now, I will say we did change 2 of the colors. In the base game of Caverna, there's 2 blues and then kind of like a tan. That's just kind of like wood color. So we decided to make orange and pink instead because in the end, it doesn't really matter. So I will have to print out stables in these same colors, but like whatever, that's not a big deal. But nonetheless, dopeness off the chart. It's just, it's super, super cool. So really, it hits all 3 of those things very, very well. Easy to print, easy to play with, and super, super cool. So that's gonna be it. There's not much else to say about this one. These ones are super cool. Check them out. Check out the links down in the description below for the 2 different Thingiverse files for these. Please give those people some love because they're the ones who did all the hard work. I didn't really do anything. I just pressed a button on a machine. And until next time, thank you so much for being here. Take out that 3D printer, print some stuff, make your games blinged out through the stars. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you later. Thank you so much for watching that video. We really, really appreciate it. If you want to check out the last 3D printing video about those Quaxley Quedlinburg bit boxes we talked about, check out this video right here. Or if you want to check out some cool 3D printed birds we made for the game Wingspan, check out that video down there. And please make sure to hit that share button, get these 3D printed bits out into the stratosphere, and make sure to subscribe while you're at it. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you later.